Will now commence. Meeting will now commence at 6:07 p.m. The first order of business is roll call. May we please commence roll call? Try again.
Hello. Hello.
Yes.
Okay. Welcome back from spring break, everyone. Okay. Student trustee Mall. President Eva Manuri.
Present.
Vice President Kasowski.
Present.
Chief of Staff Honors.
Present.
Speaker of the House Joe.
Present.
Treasurer Hutt.
Present.
Graphic designer Mott. Chairperson Guerrero. Present. Chairperson Patineo.
Here.
Chairperson Almendras.
Present.
Chairperson Fernandez. Chairperson Michael Fernandez.
Oh, he's excused. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Chairperson Celestino. That's all I'm doing. Okay. I'm here. Representative Beltran.
Present.
Representative Caesar. Representative Cruz. Representative Paratroop. Representative Leyva. Representative Basalto.
Present.
Representative Sharma.
Present.
Representative Ansari.
Present.
Representative Villalon. Okay. Representative Giron.
Present.
Representative Amty.
Present.
Representative Bogdan. Representative Erlbacher. Representative Alvarez. Representative Bielovska. Representative Bassett.
Present.
Representative Chidori. Representative Tenby Chidari. Okay, Representative Lamisa Khan.
Present.
Representative Rose. Representative Murtasa.
Present.
Representative Rashid.
Present.
Representative Kumu.
Present.
Representative B.
Present.
Representative Slaughter. Representative Melody Slaughter. Representative Dinansaka. Representative Kopapali. Representative Mitul Kopapali. Representative Nguyen.
Present.
Representative Basta.
Present.
Representative Dean. Representative Mehta.
Present.
Representative Al-Kubaitari. Representative Rima Al-Kubaitari. Representative Pocaro.
Present.
Representative Ali. Representative Glenn.
Present.
Representative Carbanza.
Present.
Representative Sarah Khan. Representative Malik.
Present.
Representative Omani.
Present.
Representative Dolma.
Present.
Representative Radwan. Thank you.
Thank you. The next order of business is reading and approval of the minutes. Please take this time to read over the minutes. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Oh, it's agenda. You're good. Are there any corrections to the minutes? If not, then the minutes will stand as approved. The next order of business is reading and approval of the agenda. Please take this time to read over the agenda. Are there any corrections to the agenda? Yes?
A motion to remove resolution 2022 S9102 from the agenda.
There's been a motion to remove resolution 2022 S9102 from the agenda. Is there a second? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? If not, then the motion is passed. Are there any other corrections to the agenda? If not, then the agenda, oh, sorry, Hannah, go ahead. There's been a motion to add resolution 2022 S9101 to the agenda. Is there a second? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? If not, then the motion is passed. Are there any other corrections to the agenda?
Hi, I would like,
Oh, me, go ahead.
hi, I would like to add resolution 2022 S9103 to the agenda.
Okay, there's been a motion to add resolution 2022 S9103 to the agenda. Is there a second?
I second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All that opposed, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? If not, then the motion is passed. Are there any other changes that should be made to the agenda? Do you have another one, or is your hand just still raised? If not, then the agenda will stand as approved. The next order of business is public comment. Is there any public comment? If not, we will move on to the next order of business, which is guest speakers. And for our first guest speaker, we will have On to present.
Yeah, so our first guest speaker is Rocco Roderick, and he is here on behalf of USG Transportation.
You can just step into this mic. Oh, sorry. Abby, could you stop sharing your screen real quick? Thanks.
All right, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
All right, I'd definitely like to start off by saying that it is an absolute pleasure to be back presenting for the undergraduate student government. Prior to COVID, we actually used to do these biannually with your groups to go over transportation changes on campus, changes to our transit services, and to go over any new policy updates or new services that we were offering. So it was absolutely fantastic to be back in this regard, especially these rooms are amazing, the way that they're set up, and so far everything works, which is very surprising. So what I'd like to do first is, my name is Rocco Derrick. I manage operations for the transportation motor pool. I'm here with Marvin Cooks, who is my partner in that regard. Also joining us online this evening on response to your guys' request for information are our Director of Operations, Eric Phillips, and Vice Chancellor for Administrative Services, John Coronado. And so pretty much our entire hierarchy structure of administration is present for this meeting, either here or via Zoom. So we're very excited to be able to get ahead and start doing this. So what I'd like to do is, again, thank you guys for letting us be here to speak and to move on with the presentation of our transportation system. So we're going to have some time for questions at the end. I understand there's going to be some questions in particular about Night Ride and about our online app service Transloc. So if we hold questions till the end, I think we'll be able to roll through that and get you guys all taken care of. I was given about a 15-20 minute window, so I'm going to be brief, which is not normal for me. Right, so on campus, our transportation services provided by USC Transportation encompass not only transit with buses and paratransit, night ride, chauffeur services, special event chauffeur services, but we also run all the garbage recycling, refuse programs, and some other things behind the scenes like street sweeping and our snow removal. You've seen us on campus throughout the winter, trying to make everything clear and trying to get everything pushed out for you guys. As far as our mission is to provide safe, efficient, and barrier-free transit services that support the innovative dynamics of the UIC community. What that means is it's our goal to support safe transportation for every UIC student and staff member, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. And in that regard, that is our sole purpose in being here. So our department has about 60 employees total, about 34 drivers in the field, moving operations that support the campus staff and services on both East and West Campus. But as far as transit goes, our employees, their only services are to be provided for students and staff members in transit on campus. That is fairly comprehensive for universities of this size. All right, so in order to introduce you to our transportation services, before we go through the lineage of them, I'd like to talk a little bit about Transloc. For those of you who are not familiar with it, Transloc is our online app program that does support our operations. So what Transloc does is it allows an app-based interface for both our bus services and our on-demand services. So there are tie-ins for night ride, paratransit, and for some of our other services. When we used to run the library shuttle, that was tied in. Hopefully that starts up again in an interval once everybody's kind of back on campus and that kind of kicks into a little bit higher gear and the libraries start to have a little bit more attendance. But as of right now, primarily our bus transit and our night ride services are run by this Transloc app. What it does for our fixed route transit, when we're talking about buses, it should be providing you with ETAs on when the buses are going to be at each stop. It should delineate each stop that's in service at that time, allow you to get a snapshot by logging into Transloc at UIC. Should allow you to see where the buses are in real time, how many buses are running, where they're at, what their positions are, and hopefully give you an idea about how far away from the stops that they're at. Now, we've had to make some adjustments to our bus routing. For those of you who have been on campus for longer than 2 years, you've probably seen a lot of new bike paths on the campus. And while it is absolutely fantastic in the green aspects of our campus's progress, what that does is it does present some traffic challenges, especially for our 40-foot buses. So we have been transitioning into a little bit, especially up Taylor's the newest one, but on Harrison. So you've noticed a lot of constriction in that. It has affected some of our transit times, and we're working around that. So we're always constantly evolving to trying to find different ways to adjust our system so that it's servicing everybody on campus. So we're not just looking at our primary campus, we're also looking out towards where we have clusters of students that are still within our general campus profile, but not necessarily living on campus or just moving about from campus building to campus building. So that's why our buses run out to Oakley and Western and, at night, and we're trying to kind of adjust those during the day to kind of do the same, but still fitting within our mission profile for the amount of time it takes to circumnavigate the campus. So this application is going to try to make that easier for students, for staff members, for anybody who wants to utilize it. You can access it through our website. You can access it directly through Transloc. And we'll go over later when I get to the night ride point, how we point for point kind of walk through registering for the on-demand apps like night ride. But for right now, we can talk a little bit about how that's going to affect your bus experience down here on campus. So we have 3 different primary buses that run. We have our regular inter-campus buses. We have our night bus that transitions into the weekend bus, and we have Semester Express, which runs during the active semesters on campus. So during intersessions like this break, the Semester Express shuts down. We put a notice out on the Translocs. Again, it's a good place for us to show when there are emergency shutdowns like West Campus, all of that stuff going around with the hospital reconstruction, what's going to be happening over on Paulina when they start to build the Drug Development Research Center into Lot E. That's going to affect transit, and we're able to kind of project those weights or changes in our system via the app so that everybody can see it in real time. It doesn't really help, though, if you don't have the app downloaded. So we're really trying to push that students have access to this app. It is absolutely free. All of our transportation services are free of charge to all students and staff members 24 hours a day. So we want you to utilize them as much as possible. All right, so again, arrival predictions, real-time traffic alerts, and announcement. That's what you can get through the Transloc app for our fixed route transit services. You can also call our dispatch office if there are any problems or if there are any real-time issues with the system. You can call in, we'll work on it in real time. We have dispatchers on normally from about 4 o'clock in the morning till about 11:30 at night, Monday through Friday. And on the weekends, the calls get routed to me. So I'm more than happy if there's problems with any of the systems to answer questions or take those calls directly, regardless of what time it is. So you can always feel free to call in if there are problems. So this is a snapshot of what you'll see if you log into the portal. It'll show you what bus route is running up there on the upper left-hand side. It'll show you what bus route is active and running. I just took this screenshot before we headed over here today. So like right now, just before the cusp of transitioning into the night bus, you can see it'll show you where the active buses are from that route. As we transition into the night, we go from 2 buses to 1. So this will be the screen snapshot that you get. Now you're able to click on any individual stop along that route, and it'll give you the ETA, the estimated time of arrival for the bus at that next stop, or if it circumnavigates all the way around, what the next time the bus will be when it comes all the way around campus. Very, very similar to CTA and PACE's setups. And they run on pretty much the same type of algorithm. All right, so getting into our different bus services, we have our inter-campus day, inter-campus night and weekend, and semester express. For those of you who are not ultimately familiar with those 3 different bus types, the inter-campus is 2 buses that kind of start on the opposite ends of the campus. One all the way out the 980 building at Harrison and Oakley. The other one starts right over on the south campus off of Roosevelt and Halsted there. And they run the entire route on the campus going back and forth. They cross traverse about in the middle, hopefully, traffic depending. And they're very efficient at running. They get from one end of the campus to the other in about 30 minutes. For a complete circumnavigation of the campus. For either individual bus, it takes an hour. The second bus that you'll see out there involving inter-campus runs is our night bus. Currently, because of the lower demand after COVID and everything, we've only been running 1 night bus out there because of the diminished demand. We're hoping after summer, when we start to transition into the fall classes now, with everybody moving back onto campus and running, we'll have enough demand where we can add that second bus back in. Ultimately, that'll be up to VCAS, but that is our goal, is always to service as many students and staff members as possible per interval. The inter-campus weekend runs the same profile, 7 o'clock to 11. So you're going to notice that is going to be the service interval for almost all of our bus services, with the exception of semester express. Will be 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. Monday through Friday, and 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. on the weekends, running that weekend and night profile for the buses. Semester express, it has less stops. It's an express bus. It circumnavigates the campus in a half an hour. God willing, with the transitions with the bike lanes, we're still pushing that envelope, and we're still able to keep most of the runs into a half an hour. That is a challenge that we're constantly looking to adapt, where we're going to turn it around, where we're going to get around our choke points. But the idea for that run is half an hour complete circumnavigation of the campus. We're able to get through pretty much everything. This is all of this information is available on the UIC transportation website. But I just wanted to go over it briefly so that you can see, we are constantly evolving these runs. We are doing whatever we can for the campus. So we have 2 different on-demand services that are currently operational. For those of you who have seen our paratransit vehicles out there, we have a federally recognized paratransit service. Normal operation during normal hours pre-COVID in 2019, we had 3 vehicles that were running out in intervals starting at normally about 5 or 6 a.m. Monday through Friday, going straight through the weekends. We run them at night, we run them 24 hours. Those operate on a profile that's similar to how we do night ride. For those of you familiar, same basic campus structure, plus 3/4 of a mile in every direction outside of our longest fixed route bus transit. So a much larger program, a much larger footprint of service enabled to get everybody here. So that's, again, it's 24-hour service. Any student that has an injury, any student that has a physical limitation or disability that registers with the DRC, or any staff member that registers through Access and Equity, will have absolute access to our paratransit system 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Doesn't matter if it's a holiday, doesn't matter when it is. That program is always active. And it's always available via phone if there's no dispatcher actually physically there. It gets routed again to the management of that individual department. But normally we have 3 vehicles that are accessible and that are ready to run at any time, with the addition of our buses all being ADA compliant, running on the inter-campus. All right. My understanding getting in here was that the primary focus of this meeting was going to be on night ride. So I'd like to go over that program a little bit, and again, focus a little bit on how Transloc is going to be driving that moving forward even more so than it has been already. How many people in here have used night ride? That's it. It's free. All right. How many of you who have used night ride use the app regularly and not calling into dispatch? Yes? Okay. Thank you. Someone raises their hand. Moving forward after about April 4th, the actual call-in number for the night dispatch is going to be disbanded. That's going to be shut down. They're making that announcement currently. And everything is going to run through the app. So for those of you who have used the application, it's very similar in Lyft or Ubers. Okay, so you're going to use your phone, use your device, use your PDA, use your computer to actually summon a ride at a specific time. It's an on-demand service. So to get in the queue, it's first come, first serve. It works on an algorithm that is supposed to minimize the amount of time that somebody is waiting for a ride. It gives you updates in real time, where the vehicle is, how far away it is. It is not, and nothing is a perfect system. But the idea in it is a safety-oriented service. You know, my background before I came to UIC was in law enforcement coursework and development. Right, I worked for 15 years for the Kendall County Sheriff's Department, primarily outreach coursework for officers that were doing community policing. Right, so it is extremely important to me personally that these programs are available free of charge in the capacity that they are for the students and staff members. As of 2019, we were on par with almost every other school in the nation, with the exception of the University of Southern California, and the volume of rides that we were on track to complete in that year was about 50,000 a year. And for our vehicle fleet, it had quadrupled in the time between 2017 to 2019 when COVID hit. Now we're still back at the same number of vehicles, but not the same volume of students. All right, so the availability of this app and making it kind of a universal way to sign on with the addition of the additional fleet vehicles and the recognition from the campus of how safe that makes that availability of those on-demand rides make the campus, we really were able to move forward and do our part to ensure safety. And it is an evolving program. And again, we're always looking at different ways that we can make it better. But as of right now, our coverage areas have expanded. So everybody here can see, I realize it's not the easiest to read. These maps are available also on the transportation website, but this is our campus profile. And as you can see, it extends quite a bit more than where our building profiles end. But this gives access to the students and staff members that live within a reasonable proximity of the campus, full access to the programs to allow them to be picked up, especially during the evening hours for the night ride programs and things like that. So this does give that access. It is, again, it is a program that supplements our bus service. It starts at 11 p.m. and runs to 7 a.m. every morning, 365 days a year. And I would heavily encourage any students that are here during that time interval to use that if they feel even the least bit uncomfortable about walking, if they're not walking in a group. That service is there for that reason. We want you to use the service. And we do understand that prolonged wait times can make that a little bit prohibitive, and some students don't want to wait the extra time for that. So that's why we're always trying to minimize the wait time in the minutes. We're doing everything that we can in that regard. Something that has that we've implemented, we were implementing it right before COVID had started, but that kind of threw everything into a little bit of turmoil. You guys understand UIC had kind of joined in and taken acquisition over the John Marshall Law School. It's now UIC School of Law. As of right now, we have incorporated this entire radius around that School of Law as part of our night ride system. Okay, this has been done in test phase for the last 3 to 4 months. It has, to a degree, because of the distances traveled, impacted some of the wait times as we've been acclimating to it. So we're now authorizing only certain vehicles to make this trip because it adds 10 minutes there, 10 minutes back. So of course that has impacted some wait time. So this has been something, but it is an enormous expansion of our footprint in terms of what we're giving our students and staff members access to. So this is actually huge. That is an enormous profile further east into the city. It gives students and staff members access. The less you have to drive, the less you have to hail rides, and especially the less you have to walk, the better, as far as I am concerned. But this was one of the things that was implemented in late 2019 that just nobody really knew about, and it really didn't get pushed out there that far because our services were shut down for such a long interval. We're very, very happy to be able to offer this currently. We're hoping by the end of spring, getting into summer, all of those kinks will be worked out, and our target is always going to be less than 10 minutes of wait time at any given stopping point. All right, so we don't want a student to log in, to access, to put in for a ride and have to wait longer than 10 minutes. One of the problems with the dispatch service that we were using is when they were getting backlogged in the services, it could take them 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes to put somebody in for a ride in the system. Our drivers don't even see it until that happens. And that was something that we felt was, doing our internal analysis, was causing prolonged wait times for people that were calling in and using the service versus just utilizing the app. It's one of the reasons we are transitioning to this app. It is much more efficient for the end user. It gets you in the queue immediately, and it gets us moving to get you picked up, and that is the goal, as quick as possible. So we now have these profiles added. Registration for Transloc, for those of you who have not already done so, again, absolutely free, and it really takes under 5 minutes to do so, begins at translocwriter.com. All right, you can just log into transloc.uic and see where the buses are at all times. You don't actually have to physically log in and provide a profile for that, but because you'll be summoning a UIC resource to utilize night ride, you're required to log in. It does the shibboleth login. So it's a controlled environment. There are no outside of UIC users for that program, unless they're a direct guest of a UIC rider that's currently riding at that time. Everybody's allowed one guest on that service. But everybody would have to log into the Transloc. They create a small account. Like, it takes less than 3 to 5 minutes, I promise, on any smartphone that's out there. If you have a flip phone, I don't know what to tell you, it'd probably take a little bit longer. But certainly and they are out there. I have a dispatcher with a flip phone. But if you use your shibboleth login and you go through the process and you log, it is just like summoning an Uber. It is just like summoning a Lyft. So as soon as the service kicks off at 11 p.m., it starts accepting ride hails from students and staff members that want to use the system. So from that point on, we normally have 4 to 5 vehicles, depending on the perceived demand for that individual night. For like Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, normally that threshold is a little bit lower. But Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, especially going into this summer and then eventually into the fall semester, with more people being on campus and more people utilizing the resources directly around the campus, we're expecting that to skyrocket. So we're hoping to have a minimum of 4 or 5 vehicles out there like we did in 2019, constantly throughout any night ride cycle. And that is the ultimate goal, because that keeps those ride times down and should keep them down even when we're driving back and forth out to the UIC School of Law. So that is our ultimate goal, again, to keep those diminished numbers for everyone who's using the system. But we're going to need people to participate and use the app. So we're getting as much information pushed out there onto the campus about logging into Transloc and about utilizing that resource as possible as we move forward. It is our goal, again, keep the campus as safe as possible. We're tied directly in with the campus law enforcement. They are absolutely fantastic at community policing, some of the best I've seen in the state of Illinois. And it's one of the things that we truly do believe is through that integrated partnership and working forward to provide these services to the campus, we can keep the campus as safe as possible. And that is something that allows me to sleep at night doing this job. So the request for rides and a viewing ride status. So when you're on the Transloc, it should be sending you a ping when you've logged in, when you've summoned a ride. Should tell you your estimated wait time. It should tell you again when you're the next person in the queue, and it should tell you yet again when the vehicle is at your location. And then normally when our driver arrives, if they don't see you, they summon you. When they're dropping you off, you'll notice we have gotten some student complaints about the amount of time it takes to drop a person off because we're physically waiting for them to get inside their home. That driver will not leave that site until you are physically opening your door and walking into your residence. Or if you have a vehicle, and this happens a lot in the wintertime, they will not pull away until that vehicle starts. They're going to let you get in the vehicle and they're going to make sure that it starts. They're not going to, we have a zero tolerance for abandonment out there for night ride service. And a lot of people don't know that for people who are inebriated, it happens down here to a degree. Normally, if somebody is able to articulate where they're going and how they're getting there, and if they're able to mount the vehicle by themselves without assistance, that person will ride. If they get to the point where they're not able to do those things, we normally summon UICPD out to do the ride and do an event. It doesn't go against your campus record, doesn't get reported to your deans. It's not something that is being used as an administrative punishment at all. It is just most of my drivers are not EMTs. They're not going to be able to evaluate your possibility for alcohol toxicity. Whereas most of the UIC police department is able to conduct those fields. And if they choose to give you the option to go to UIC hospital, to UH, or wherever you want to go for medical, that becomes an option, or they will take you to the dorm. And that's just a liability for us that we can't incur. It also keeps the vehicles with limited vomit, which everybody normally appreciates. So that's been a good thing for us kind of moving forward. It's just, again, that partnership that ties in. Everybody rides. No one gets left behind. If we see someone that could be a UIC student out at night, and that is another thing, you got 5 vehicles traversing the campus between 11 a.m. and 7 a.m. So through those peak hours where everything seems to happen down in the surrounding community around UIC, we do have eyes out on campus that are always looking out. You can hail a ride from the side of the road. If you're a UIC student, you have an ID, you ride. You get in the vehicle. They will not leave you sitting there. So that's another thing that's important to kind of note is it just gives us another presence on campus with multiple employees that are vested in keeping you safe. That is their job. That is our function. It's the sole purpose of my department is to provide safe transit services for UIC students and staff members. So what I'd like to do at this point is to take any questions that you guys might have on our service. I'm going to go ahead and relinquish this. If you have any questions for Marvin and I, please. Yes, sir.
So I had a question regarding the UIC law extension. So does that only apply to that service area around UIC law, or could you go from UIC law to East Campus and East Campus to UIC law?
Yes, you'll be able to go between campuses.
Okay,
That's like the island of service that we're offering out around that area. So it's with proximity to that school. It's about 3/4 of a mile in every direction of the epicenter of the UIC Law School. So that's also incorporating our paratransit services as well. So that's extended the profile of service for our paratransit. And again, I just want to make that clear, what a huge change that is for us. That is an absolutely enormous swath of now coverage area that we now have. So please bear with us during that transition. We're doing everything we can to keep those times down, but it was very important to us to offer that because that is now an annexed part of UIC. There is no changing it. That is part of us, so that has to be serviced as well.
thank you.
Yes.
I'm curious if there's a part of UIC Night Ride that allows to pre-schedule a pickup or ride?
It does not. It's first come, first serve on the app.
Hi, I have a question. My name is Felix Celestino. I'm the chairman of the Campus Life Committee. I'm also a resident assistant on the West Campus, and I'm also part of a Greek organization named Phi Kappa Psi. So within those organizations that I am a part of, I have heard many great things about Night Ride. As a RA, I promote it heavily with my residents, and it's been a wonderful service that UIC has offered, and I commend all the work that you do. So in the spring semester of last year and fall semester last year, great job. But this semester, there has been a lot of issues and a lot of concerns with the service. Starting from January and going as 2 weeks ago, there's been a lot of inaccuracies. For me, for example, I personally requested a ride on February 26th around like 11 p.m., 12 a.m. And I waited for 4 hours for a night ride that never came. And then when I did get a text message, it said that the night ride had shown up but left, but I never got a phone call, I never got a text message. And there's been a lot of issues with the actual messaging system. I use the application, I never call, but because I never get text messages anymore through that application, I have to call. And then when I call back to the dispatch waiting, because there's been multiple times this semester where I've waited more than a half an hour. And I've called the dispatch and I asked them, hey, is there an ETA on my night ride? Since I called, I can't see the app. I haven't gotten a text message. What's going on? And they tell me that there's nothing they can do. There's nothing they can look up. And so with that, there are a lot of issues I want to bring up. And then another thing as well, you had mentioned that you can basically hail it as a cab on the side of the road. I've had members from my fraternity tell me that they have tried going up to a night ride before on Taylor Street in the middle of the night, but the night ride has said you have to go through the application and request a night ride. And then on the weekend of St. Patrick's Day, when many students were out enjoying their time, some of them were inebriated. I had a friend who requested a night ride, waited about 2 hours, and the night ride never came. And she ended up having to walk from Taylor and Loomis all the way down to Miller Street. So, and she's very young, you know, she's a sophomore, having to walk in the middle of the night. It's not optimal, but she had to do it because of the lack of services that was being provided from the night ride service. So I kind of wanted to ask, is there, or first, what's going on? Why is this semester not performing as well as prior semesters? And also, is there a way where students can report issues that isn't through a phone call, like either a form or something through the website? Because there's been consistent issues this semester that haven't been addressed. So that's why I asked representatives to reach out to your department in order to get to the bottom of this, because it's an important service that needs to stay up to date, needs to be accurate, needs to be reliable. Because right now I have been avoiding night rides because of the inaccuracies, because of the unreliability, and I don't want to do that as an RA and as a member of UIC. So sorry for the long spiel, but it's what needs to be addressed.
No. Thank you very much for bringing that up. That is definitely something that we need to focus on. And we have been, so we've been transitioning a little bit with the service, with the adding of the other campus. And with Transloc, Ford has sold Transloc. So we had a couple of smaller issues with the way that the systems were communicating, the way that we were getting updates to the tablet systems in our office. So I sincerely apologize for that. And there is no excuse I can make for that. That would go out. No one should have to walk, male, female, anything on campus if they choose not to at night. That's our goal, to provide that never happens. That sounds terrible, and I do sincerely apologize for that. And we are working on that. We're working on those efficiencies and making it better, making sure that there are more vehicles out there and making sure that the system is working efficiently. What I would really hope could happen is we do have the availability for students that see our website to actually log in and send us emails through rides@uic.edu. So we're always available in that regard. There are dispatchers and myself that monitor that email 24 hours a day. So we do get those emails. If there are complaints, we do address them. We always do get back to people who have emailed and who have called or have sent communications to our office, because that's the only way that we can fix problems, is if we know about them. It's the only way that we can really tend to these. So I absolutely hope that any student or staff member on campus that has issues with Night Ride, if you got skipped, if you got bumped, if the service dropped you, if there are any issues with logging in or anything else, you can call our dispatch. You can still be able to call our dispatch office, and that'll route out to a supervisor through the call system overnight and into the weekend. If there is an issue, if there is a service issue with the system not functioning correctly, and we will get back to you as quickly as we can. And more importantly, that we will hunt down that problem and we will try to address it in real time and factor the addressing of that problem into our further cooperation with Transloc and working with their technical personnel. So thank you for bringing those issues up, because that is something that we need to do constantly, is monitor the program. And we unfortunately don't know about things like that occurring unless we get that feedback from students and from leaders in the campus like yourself.
Rocco, this is John Coronado. The concerns that Felix talked about no more text messages and the issues with transition, are we beyond that now, or is there still work to be done?
We're still working with Transloc in that regard. They still have some things that they're working through with their transition to their new systems, but we haven't really had many reported instances of issues with the Transloc proper, with the logging in or with the cycling through rides. Unfortunately, if we don't get the feedback, we don't know what's occurring, and we really can't respond to it very much. We've been looking at the numbers. The numbers have been relatively good as far as our median impact time for pickups has not jumped to any appreciable degree in the last couple months. It has gone up about 2 minutes on average, but we've been pretty consistent in this. But this is something that we are currently working through with Transloc, and it's the more I'm aware of issues that are existing out there, the more I can fine tune our discussions.
Thank you.
And
in
then
addition, I'm sorry, this is Eric Phillips, the interim director of transportation. In addition to what Rocco was saying, something that we're going to add to the website, and it should be visible on there right now, is a feedback button for the paratransit, the campus shuttle buses, as well as the Night Ride. So anytime there's any issues, you could just click on the feedback button and that will come directly to us as well.
And we want that feedback, no matter how minor it might seem, no matter how petty you might think the complaint might be. We want it. It helps us improve the service, and we can't do that without you, the users of the service. We need you to let us know what you need, what you want, and how we can do a better job out there. Or if we're doing a good job, we'd like to hear that too. But overall, it's that type of feedback that allows us to make changes and to fix things.
one
Yes.
more thing, sorry. Oh.
No, go ahead, Felix.
I appreciate all that, and I look forward to seeing Night Ride improve, because I think it's really important for our students. Another thing on the website aspect, it kept on switching the numbers of what place I'm in queue. So it would jump from 7 to 2 to 10 to 4, and it keeps on fluctuating. So that's another issue with the Transloc system. And then one other thing I wanted to bring up when it comes to transportation side is, me being an RA on the West Campus in SSR, I would rely heavily on the shuttle bus. But the thing was, once it hit the end of the line, the bus would stay there for about half an hour or more. And I couldn't tell if they were either on break or if they were on their way back. And there were some times where I waited almost an hour and the shuttle bus just was still in the same spot when I was looking at the Transloc system, and happened more than once. So there are just some times where I would just take the CTA instead. So I kind of wanted to ask, like, is there like a set like break time for those buses? Like, should there be a reason why the bus is staying in one location for long periods of time? Or is it something that's going on consistently no matter if a driver's on break?
No, there should not be a pause in the service unless there's a mechanical problem with the vehicle or unless there's something going on with the driver themselves. If they had some type of issue they had to be tended with, or an accident or something like that. When the driver goes on break, we normally have reliefs impregnated into the schedule to cover for them. So that definitely should not be happening, especially not with any frequency.
And also I was on the bus on the South Campus and I was waiting in the bus because the bus driver said that they were taking a break, and that was in front of the dorm forum. So that's something that I think should be addressed as well, because if there is a break system where the buses will be stopped, that should be communicated to the students. But if it isn't like that, then it should be addressed. And this happened last semester.
Yeah, I don't know of any scenario where they'd be taking a break in the bus while it's out on the street. They're required to come back into the office for their breaks. And again, they're supposed to have a relief on the way out there if they are going on break. So that's kind of an odd duck occurrence. I really wish I knew what day that was on so I could pin that down, see what driver that was.
Question. I'm sorry, Felix, just to clarify, when you say they were on break, if you're sitting on the bus, were they waiting there for like 5 or 10 minutes before they take off, or was it longer than that time?
From what I remember, I was walking from the South Campus and I was going to go to the one of the bus lines, but I saw the bus there stationary in front of the dorm forum. So I asked the bus driver, I was like, hey, like, is this running or like what's going on? He was like, oh, I'm just taking a break right now. I can let you in, but just give me a couple of minutes and we'll be on our way. And then it was like about like 10, 15 minutes and then they continued on their way.
All right, what that might have been is he might have been there due to a traffic deficit or due to something happening and just got to that stop early. Those buses don't leave. The stop across from JST oriented southbound is a primary stop. That's normally one of the first stop that a bus is going to leave on, either at the top of the hour or the bottom of the hour, depending on which bus interval that they're on. They don't leave until that time, and that's to keep the times as consistent as possible. So they do sit there and wait for the top of the hour, the bottom of the hour at that stop and at the 980 building, which is out at the corner of Harrison and Oakley, because those are positive control points to try to keep the time as consistent as possible. So there is a possibility that you waited at that point for 10 minutes. It's not necessarily for a break. I don't know why they would have told you it was for a break, but the bus definitely doesn't run during those intervals until they get to those positive control times to start that run. It doesn't just run in a constant circle. You'd never know when to expect the bus if it did so.
Okay, that makes sense, because I just got a message from a representative stating that in front of TBH, the bus is always there, like for long periods of time as if it's a break. So because my understanding was the bus was going to keep on cycling throughout the campus, but not on a fixed time schedule. But it makes sense that it's from the top of the hour, the bottom of the hour. But yeah, so I'm not too sure if they're like going like faster just to hang out at the end. But if that's the case, then I feel like the buses should be consistently running, or if there is a set time schedule, then to put that out there, you know, because like I tried to look on the application, it's like, okay, the bus will be there in 10 minutes. And I was like, perfect. Waited 10 minutes and it still said 10 minutes. So it's just like, it's confusing using it as a student.
Understood.
Hello. Hello. Well, I first wanted to say that the amount of times the NYRA has saved me is just like unmemorable. Like for me, the NYRA has been essential. And I think as for USG, another thing we should be doing is promoting the service, because when you ask how many of our members have used it, many of our members have not used it. So that's like internally in USG. For example, we're gonna be having a gala after 11 p.m. The NYRA would be able to pick us up. So that's another comment, but yeah, basically the NYRA has saved me many times. I did have a concern, which Phillips mentioned, but basically, whenever I request a ride, it always tells me like, you are the next person, you are the second person, and that does keep changing a lot. So it tells me you're gonna ride 5, 10, 12 minutes. So that changes a lot. So my question is, do you know why it does it? Because it does it like very continuously, like it's like kind of like nonstop. It continues changing, like you're the next person, 10 stops ahead of you, 10 person. So that was my question.
The reason that one of the reasons that was happening, that we actually did pin down over this winter, and it was never really a problem in the past, was a few of the students had figured out how to manipulate the system. Because it works on a system that's supposed to minimize the number or the time that someone waits for a ride, they had figured out that the vehicles are constantly moving. So if they try to register a ride at 11 o'clock and they get put into a queue, and then they cancel their ride, and then they try to go into the queue again. It's trying to minimize the amount of wait time, so it tries to grab a vehicle that's closer. And what was happening until we kind of caught on and kind of isolated some of the people that were doing that, is that was pushing other people back into the queue inadvertently, because the predicate for the algorithm was always the closest person, the closest vehicle, get them in the vehicle, so that there's less of a wait time in general moving forward on their schedule. So that was a problem that we did have to kind of narrow down, and we did kind of narrow it down to about 4 or 5 people that were doing that. But that is something that was one of kind of like the growing pains with getting back into this semester, was we'd never had to deal with that before. And that was something that wasn't a technical problem with the system. It was like an administrative problem with figuring out how to isolate that activity and prohibit it without denying anybody service. So that was one challenge that we did have this last season, was hunting that down and kind of doing away with those occurrences happening, because it was having an effect on the system. All of a sudden, we had an enormous amount of cancellations from like 5 or 6 different people. And unfortunately, they utilized the service almost every day. So that was something that they had kind of figured out to try to use it as an end around to bump themselves up in the queue. So that's something that we're watching now, though. So that should not be occurring moving forward.
Okay. And then I do have one more comment. So mentioning how like whenever a driver maybe skips you, or maybe the driver is not offering you service, or any type of those problems, is there any way we can implement an accountability process? Maybe on the app itself, it tells you this is your rider, kind of like how Uber or Lyft does it. It tells you this is the name of your driver. I think having now the feedback button, but also having like the name of the person that is driving you might be important, specifically just to avoid any type of like problems between students and the person that's driving.
Provided I have any feedback from a student, any negative feedback whatsoever for a specific ride service, and you give me your UIN and the time that you summoned the ride and where you were originating from, I can hunt that down to the driver that was driving, to the time where they were at. I can watch their activity the entire night before they do that ride and the entire night afterwards. I can also see what they saw on their tablet. So there's no lying involved in that, because we have absolute control to go back and hunt those down. So that's why the feedback is so critical, because it keeps us all honest, and it makes it so that we can track where these inefficiencies are to the best of our ability. And it's a big system to manage, but this is our goal, is to make it as efficient as possible. So that definitely is something that we want. When we get the feedback, if that information is provided, we can pull it up to the minute in the system afterwards and kind of see what happened and what went wrong, and address it in real time. And we do address that in real time.
Okay. Thank you so much, and thank you for presenting your tip.
And you're very, very welcome. It's my pleasure. Yes.
Hello. So I know we're focusing on night ride, but I had a question about paratransit, or maybe a suggestion. So I do have a chronic condition. I'm diagnosed with fibromyalgia, so I do use the paratransit sometimes when I can. Well, there was a mishap that happened over the weekend where I had to cancel my early morning ride for today, but they ended up canceling all my rides for today because the dispatcher on the weekend messed up and just made it that all my rides were gone. So, you know, by the time I figured this out, I was already late for my class. And I was just wondering if there's any way you can have at least like one person that's just like there for emergencies that can go and pick up a paratransit student when it's needed, because when I called in to ask about it, they're just like, oh, sorry, I guess the dispatcher messed up. That was it. There wasn't any like, oh, you know, what can we do to help you get to class on time now? So it's like, you know, I did end up getting to class. I was quite late, but I think, you know, maybe it's something to consider for the paratransit student to be great, just to have one person that's on call. And I know that you guys are staffing them so that everybody is getting their rides there, but I don't know, maybe it'd be nice to consider having somebody that would be on call to give a quick ride sometimes.
Yeah, no, I was unaware that that happened this morning. That's definitely something that should not happen. You should be able to call in at any time and get a ride some. Now, that might not be immediate because we do have a limited staff that's out there and available, and we don't have enough staff where we have somebody just sitting waiting for on-demand rides. But I know what happened to you over the weekend when you called in. That didn't go to my office. That went to a call center, and they misinterpreted what you said. They thought you had canceled your rides for the entire day. And that was the information that my office got. So that wasn't, unfortunately, something that I can necessarily own. But when you call the office, if you request a ride, they should give you one. I mean, they will give you one. It just might not be immediate. They might not have that immediacy into that, but you absolutely will get a ride. And if we can do it immediately, we will do it immediately. We're always adjusting to try to get as many paratransit vehicles out there as possible. That is a primary component of our service. And that's one of the reasons why we're federally recognized for our service. So that should not happen. And I will address that with my dispatch tomorrow morning first thing. But that is definitely something that I take very personally. So yeah, you should not have to wait for a long time for a ride. It's just once we get to the middle of the day when a situation like that happens, unfortunately, we're literally shutting something else down to put somebody else out there to get you, because we tend to schedule most of those paratransits back to back to back. As it goes during the day, that we have peak demand, and we schedule the drivers day to day. Like if we have an influx of call-ins for ride on Tuesday for Wednesday, we add drivers so that nobody has to wait. You know, we don't bump people for times. The goal is if we have three vehicles will run if the demand is there. So I apologize for your experience. I sincerely do. That should not happen ever.
I'm so sorry, but for the sake of time, I'm gonna allow 2 more questions. So, yes, Felix, go ahead.
I just wanted to kind of ask, well, first, I just want to reemphasize, like, I really appreciate you being here and everyone from your administration being here, because I think it's really important to have these types of conversations. And I really do appreciate everything the Transportation Department does. One thing I wanted to ask is, when it comes to student leaders, would we be able to request presentations from the Transportation Department to kind of explain the night ride? Because I would love for the Transportation Department to give presentations about the services to, for example, the FSL administration and all of their organizations, because I think those students are frequently on campus and their safety is very important in that aspect. And like, I know if I remember correctly, you also come to the RA trainings, but if you don't, I think that would be a really great opportunity to kind of explain to the RAs what the services are and how they can pass along that information to their residents, and even possibly provide a presentation or flyers or pamphlets to those RAs to kind of help pass along this message of safety on campus when it comes to transportation and what UIC offers and what they're committed to.
No, absolutely. And I can't express enough. Any student organization, any staff organization that's requesting something like tonight where we can come out, answer questions, and give a presentation on the services will be accommodated. If they email into rides@uic.edu, or they can email me directly. I believe I'm listed on the Transloc website as well. I will make that happen, whether it be via Zoom or whether it's in person, hopefully in person. But whether it be a Zoom or in person, we will make that happen. We used to present at every orientation, every expo, every student event that involved actual tables being out there offering services to the students so that they would know what was available, the commuter cons, the commuter resource center events. We were there. And that's something that I'd really like to get back to now that in-person presenting or actually doing these presentations is beginning to kick off a little bit more. So yes, absolutely. If you have a student organization that would like this expressed a little bit better, or would like handouts or pamphlets or brochures or just emailed material, I will make that happen. Just please let me know.
Are there any other questions? Okay.
Just yell at me, it's all right.
Yeah, so instead, my question, instead of thank you, it sounds like night ride is an essential operation on UIC. It's obvious that safety for the students is essential. You prioritize it. To the parents that there's a few things that can be fixed, but instead, I just wanted to thank you for taking your time, listening to everyone's concerns, accepting our suggestions. So instead, we did kind of grill you a little bit, but I did want to end up on a good note and actually thank you for your opportunity and thanks for your time.
Well, thank you guys so much for having us. I'm going to get out of your way.
Thank you so much. Yeah, if anyone has any other questions, like you said, you can feel free to email rides@usc.edu, and we'd love to have you back as well. We will now move on to the next order of business, which is old business. Our first resolution is resolution 2022 S7101. And could we have Saba, Nora, or Nora present this, please?
Yes, I'll be presenting this. This is resolution 2022 S7101. She sponsors me, Representative Nora, and Chairperson Fernandez. Whereas Eid al-Fitr is one of the most important holidays observed by Muslims and commemorates the end of the month of Ramadan. And whereas the second largest population of Muslims in the U.S. resides in Chicago, and Muslims are the third largest religious group at the University of Illinois at Chicago. And whereas the University of Illinois at Chicago is an institution that is home to many different cultures and religions, and is therefore committed to upholding the rights of students to practice their religion freely without affecting academic success. And whereas Eid al-Fitr is set to take place on the Monday of finals week this semester, May 2nd, 2022, and students observing this UIC recognized holiday should have the opportunity to participate fully in the celebration without the stress of finals week. And whereas UIC does not remind students to submit religious exemptions as they do for campus gear, class drops, and late withdrawals, then let it be resolved by recognizing the current final exam schedule conflicts heavily with Muslim students' ability to participate in one of the most important celebrations in Islam. We urge the administration to set the religious exemption deadline to April 15th for this year, as the described changes are not yet in effect. But if we further resolved in order to better prevent future overlap of exams and religious celebrations, USG will ask the university administration to extend the religious exemption deadline to the first 3 weeks of the semester and send 2 official UIC emails reminding students to submit religious holiday exemptions. But if we further resolve, this will provide Muslim students the opportunity to progress in an environment that encourages personal and academic achievement simultaneously. Providing accommodation for Eid al-Fitr will aid in removing barriers that hinder academic success and aligns with UIC's mission statement in cultivating a welcoming institution where students feel valued and do not have to choose between compromising their academic performance and practicing their faith.
Thank you. Are there any questions for this resolution? Reminder that we will be voting on this tonight. Any questions, comments? Oh, Donnie, go ahead.
Obviously the date is really here. Would this be something that would likely hold within like next spring as well, next spring? To like extend that deadline, or is it just difficult for this year?
So we are asking them to do it for future years too, just because the term stuff also might land on the date as well. So this exemption deadline applies to all exams, not just finals.
Any other questions or comments? If not, we will move on to voting. All those in favor of adopting resolution 2022 S7101, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? If not, then the resolution is passed. But it's case you guys want to do it this time. There are no other resolutions for old business, so we will move on to the next order of business, which is new business. First, we have resolution 2022 S9101, which you can find attached as a reply to the meeting packet email. And can we please have Hannah present this? Oh, do you want to send me your mic? No. You can come up if you want. Or go to down. Yeah.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, this is resolution 2022 S9101. The chief sponsors is me and Representative Chair Michael Fernandez. Whereas the University of Illinois at Chicago has many students majoring in fields such as public policy, political science, and other civic engagement degrees. And whereas our university must prepare students for life after college and expose students to as much possible careers that can be pursued, then let it be resolved the undergraduate student government will create a career forum that exposes students to an array of jobs that involve civic engagement with speakers in positions such as city officials, state workers, professors, and community organizers. Let it further be resolved that this event will take place on April 6th from 4 to 6 p.m. in SCE room 302. Speakers will present to any students that wish to attend either in person or on Zoom. Let it further be resolved that the event shall be funded $600 to cover the expenses of dessert, drinks for the UIC students, and dinner meals for the speakers and event workers, and a room reservation and tech expenses.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Anshu?
I need to use an executive order to vote on this tonight.
There's been an executive order issued, so we will be voting on this resolution tonight. Any questions? Matthew?
Kind of curious on who are the guest speakers you invited to this event?
So we have 10 speakers. We have Christian Diaz from LSNA, Kathleen Yang Clayton, she's a public policy professor. We have the disability liaison for the Secretary of State, Bill Bogdan. We have Shakina Ferry, who's a commissioner. Lily Rocha is from Young Invincible. Marvin Slaughter is Melody's brother. And then Chicago Voice is bringing 2 speakers. And then Peter Berg works for the Great Lakes ADA.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? If not, we will move on to voting. All those in favor of adopting resolution 2022 S9101, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? If not, then the resolution is passed. Okay. With clapping, we don't have to do that. But if you want to. We will now move on to the next resolution, which is resolution 2022 S9103, which you can also find attached as a reply to the packet email. Mia, would you like to present this resolution?
Yes, hi, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
So this is resolution 2022 S 2021 S9103. Chief sponsor is me, Chairperson Matthew Almendras, Chairperson Daniela Guerrero, and Representative Diego Basodu, with co-sponsor is Treasurer Muhammad Had. Whereas the undergrad student government, USG, preside over all undergraduate UIC student, including international student, and whereas international students often have concerns regarding their immigration status and staff required to work legally in the United States. And whereas USG seek to address the concern of UIC international student by hosting an international student town hall on April 12th from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. on the SCE Fort Dearborn. And whereas international students who attend the town hall will be able to ask questions and voice their concerns to a confirmed guest speaker, Megan Ward, OAS, the Director of International Student and Outreach Service. Then let it be resolved that the USG will allocate a maximum amount of $400 to cover the cost of room reservation, audio visual equipment, and refreshments. Let it further be resolved that any unspent fund will be relocated back to the undergrad student government budget. And before I yield for question, I would like to amend the resolution from Resolution 2021 to Resolution 2022 S9103.
There's been a motion to amend Resolution 2021 S9103 to say Resolution 2022 S9103. Is there a second?
I second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All that opposed, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? If not, then the motion is passed. Any questions or comments regarding this resolution? Matthew?
Yeah, I just have a comment. Me is planning this town hall because we would like to learn more about what concerns international students have and how we can better represent them in our organization. So I encourage everyone, given that this resolution is passed next week, to promote this event so that all international students are able to see this and attend and provide us the broadest range of perspective.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? If not, we will be voting on this resolution next week. We will now move on to the next order of business, which is items for discussion. Our first item for discussion is etiquette towards USG colleagues. Danya, would you like to present this?
Hello, everyone. And if you're on Zoom, I hope you can really take something away from this, even though you're not here in person. This is really directed towards everyone in this room and not necessarily one, a specific person. So this is not shade. This is just a general conversation that I think we all should be having. So I don't think there's any proper way to introduce this, but it's a sentiment I've been holding as well as several other people. So I don't want it to seem like I'm bringing this out of nowhere. I just want to address this as an open conversation. But there are some things that I feel need to be changed inside USG, especially now that we're in this transition period where we're going towards the end of our USG season and now going into a new administration. So I don't want, any fragmentation to just carry over. So I have several things that I would like to talk about. And by the end of this, if anyone has anything they want to add as well, anything they want to speak up on, I think it would be really beneficial to have this as an open, healthy conversation. So first thing, a lot of discrediting and miscrediting, especially on behalf of representatives in terms of their initiatives, resolutions. So not being transparent about this and then just someone adding it into their report and then, calling it the end of the night, end of the meeting, someone doesn't get credit for what they worked on. In addition to this, stepping on one another's roles when there are specified duties in the bylaws for each member, regardless if there's a hierarchy in USG, doesn't matter. Everyone deserves respect, courtesy, and a level of professionalism towards one another. So not overstepping the roles also means not speak over someone else. The big part of that as well. Respecting one another's time and understanding that we are an interconnected organization. We work with a lot of other departments, a lot of other student boards, a lot of faculty here at UIC. So that means respecting our time here, whether that's on a holiday, whether that's spring break, whether that's on a weekend. I think we should be respectful of that time. The way we speak to each other too is really integral to the work that we do in here.
especially considering that we want to be as open as possible with students of different backgrounds. You know, if we want to maintain that, we have to actually practice that. So being considerate of our tone, our language, and then the intentions that we have behind what we're saying to someone else, even if, you know, you feel that you've been working with them all year long, we still need to maintain that level of being professional, being courteous, having etiquette towards your colleague. But considering all of this, you know, our funding, our stipends, it all comes out of students' tuition. We are working on their time and their money. So if we can't even uphold etiquette internally, we're not going to be able to externalize this and actually get anything done and uphold our mission towards the entire student body. So again, it's important considering we're in this transition right now. We're, you know, heading towards the end of the school semester. So, you know, for those who are staying in USG, it's a great thing to keep in mind, especially if you're going to be staying. And we're going to be having new representatives next semester. We don't want this to carry on. We want to uphold this legacy of being respectful, being courteous, having etiquette, being a legitimate organization where we are professionals and we know how to work with one another. But again, I just wanted to reiterate, I'm making a general statement. So if there's anyone who feels like I didn't mention anything or I didn't expand on something and they want to chip in, they want to say how they feel. Again, this is an open conversation. I am not shading. This is not shade. This is just to make everyone aware that, you know, we don't want to be complacent when issues are happening. We all want to contribute and we all want to make change in here. Everyone can attain something, at least one thing from what I am saying. So please feel free to open up if you feel like anything that I mentioned is something that like rings true to you. But I did want to bring this up now that we're back from spring break and we are back into the game of hosting events and, you know, working on our initiatives still. So thank you.
Alexander?
Yeah, so this is my last semester, so I appreciate that. If I could come back and visit, I would, but we'll see where I'll be. But I just would like to also encourage for y'all to like, not only like just communication, but inclusive communication. Like I speak in metaphors a lot, but like make sure we're on the same chapter, same page, and that everyone knows that, so that no one feels left behind or like out of the loop on anything. I don't know what that looks like, but that just maybe looks like constantly talking to each other through chats or in person in the USG office, not only talking about resolutions, but just anything under the rainbow. And that is inclusive because, or it should be inclusive because I know I've been in positions like at my community college where people have felt left out in organizations or clubs. And it's just not like, it's just not what the school or anything should be representing. Like as far as we all go there, and we should have like that communication as inclusive as possible because it just opens the door for a lot more better ideas, better opportunities for everyone, and everyone can be on the same kind of page and goal because I think we all want the same goal and we have different ideas. So I just always encourage like inclusive communication.
Thank you. Daniela?
Yes, following to inclusive communication, I would also like to say, let's make sure that we're also respecting everyone's pronouns at every time. It's always okay to ask, hey, what are your pronouns? Hey, you know, but let's, and especially I think USG has tended to be very binary. So let's make sure that we are very inclusive of every single gender identity. And if we are, so let's just not assume anyone's anything. And then apart from that, it really resonated with me what Danya said on crediting our members. As the diversity committee chair, my members worked so hard. Every single one of them has their own initiative, their own passion, their everything. So I always try, at least try, I mean, this is not the case. My members can't tell me this, but always try to like not take responsibility for what they're doing because that's their work. And I encourage, not that anyone has not done this, but encourage every single committee chair, every single keyboard member to make sure that we're crediting our members at their.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? I actually have one. Not completely related, but pretty related. In terms of respecting each other's time and being mindful of our goals, I just want to remind people that I am supposed to make the packet like every Sunday by a certain amount of time. So when people are sending their reports late or resolutions late, I'm happy to add them in and delay if you keep in contact with me. But as good practice, I do set like a timeline of having it in by 12 p.m. Saturday. And like, I'm not trying to call anyone out. I don't mind doing this personally, but even amending resolutions to the agenda all the time or always asking on to the executive order, it's just not really good practice for how meetings should be run, because we do have to try to follow the structure of having a resolution presented one week and then voted on the next week unless it's an absolute emergency. But that just pertains to my role. I think in general, we could all be more mindful of each other's time and what we're doing in our respective roles and not try to, I guess, impede on those jobs. But that's just my 2 cents. Any other questions or comments? Last call. If not, we will move on to the next item for discussion, which is the USG social. So I just wanted to talk to everyone about the timing for the social. We were having kind of mixed responses between having it on a weekday or a weekend. And I just wanted to see if anyone had any strong opinions on which day would be better for them, because we do want to have everyone attend, because we have a lot of activities planned. So does anyone have any, Alexander?
Somewhere else.
It'll be on campus.
Okay.
Weekday? Okay. Sure. Anyone else have any strong preferences? Like, is anyone not able to make it if it's on a weekday or a weekend? Yeah, Brenda? Or could you, Mike? Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So after my situation that I have going on, it's the fact that I have work around the weekend, and the thing about it is that I can't even call off like before like before the thing. I have to call off like 2 weeks or 3 weeks before. But I'm not sure if like anyone else's job also does that as well. But like when it comes to that, like I need to know like in advance.
Okay, sounds good. And whether it's on a weekday or weekend, it will be on an evening, so probably like 6 to 8 or something to that effect. Any other comments, questions? If not, thank you for your feedback. We will now move on to the next order of business, which is ex officio reports. May we please have the report of the advisor?
Yeah, I have a couple of updates.
Sorry, could you turn on your mic, please?
Hear me?
Yes.
Working?
Yes.
Okay, it's my first time in a classroom like this. Having to talk. So I do have a couple of updates. One, tomorrow is Meet the Candidates debate. It will take place from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. in Student Center East, room 302. You can also attend virtually. If you want to attend virtually, you will need to sign up to get a registration link that's on the Student Elections website. And so that'll take place from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. We will have a debate for our student member board and trustee candidate, our USG president, and our USG vice president, and also be a great opportunity for you to meet all the candidates, our House of Rep candidates, as well as our undergraduate Senate candidates. The other update I have is voting polls. So voting for student government elections, they will open up on Wednesday, March 30th, beginning at 9 a.m. And then it will close Thursday, March 31st at 4 p.m. And so how can you vote? You can vote on UI Connection, or you can also visit the student elections website. There's a big jumbo link there where you'll be able to click, and then you can cast your vote. Any questions regarding the candidate debate or voting poll? No? Okay. The next item I have is that I sent the mass email out to everyone today.
in regards to attending the student lunch for our finalists for the Associate Vice Chancellor, for Student Health and Wellness, Executive Director of Counseling Services. It's the longest job title I've ever seen in my entire career in higher ed. So that lunch will take place beginning tomorrow, March 29th through Friday, April 1st. The time is 4 p.m. to 12:50 p.m. It will be a free lunch. It will be a great opportunity for you to share your experience at UIC, learn more about their experience. This person who will be selected, they will oversee the counseling center. They will also oversee health and wellness and also the rec center. And so if you have the opportunity from Tuesday, beginning tomorrow, from 12 p.m. to 12:50 through Friday, please let me know. You can email me or you come see me after this meeting, and then I can add you to the list. Again, it's a free lunch, great opportunity for you to meet the finalists and share more insight about your experience at UIC and basically ask them questions about what they're looking for so that we can have hopefully a perfect match for this role. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Are there any questions? I actually have a question. So for the students who choose to attend, is there any way for them to provide feedback on the candidates?
Yes, so there is an evaluation form that I will forward to everyone by tonight, if not tomorrow. I'm just waiting to get everyone who's interested in attending. And then I will send you an evaluation form. It's a Google form. And then you just fill in your information that way.
All right, thank
After
you.
you have met with the candidate for the lunch. Yep.
Sure. Any other questions?
And it's very informal, so it's just more conversational.
If not, then the report of the advisor will be filed. Next, we have the report of the student trustee. Is there a report for the student trustee? If not, we will move on to the next order of business, which is officer reports. May we please have a report of the president?
Yeah, welcome back, everyone. I hope you all had a good spring break. So over the past 2 weeks, I met with UIC library leadership alongside Arthur and Matthew to discuss future collaborations with the library and to discuss the current status of ongoing initiatives. So things like our Open Educational Resource Award, expansion of OER at UIC, and the Electron Go wall charters that we discussed. I also attended 2 public safety board meetings, one prior to spring break and one during spring break, to discuss previous recommendations that were proposed by the board. So we had some guest speakers to these meetings, including Dean of Students, Linda Deanna, and Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs, Rex Tolliver. And the aim of having these guest speakers at those meetings was to really understand the new ABC for student health and wellness role and how it relates to the recommendations made by the board last year. And we aim to understand next steps from the UIC administration and leadership on how they plan to implement recommendations on an alternative behavioral crisis model, which was recommended last year by the Public Safety Board. We'll be continuing interviewing candidates for the ABC role. As Jay mentioned, we'll be having student rounds as well. And I will also be meeting with the UIC Transportation this week as well as a follow-up. So thanks to all the representatives that set up this meeting and invited them to our GBM. And thank you to everyone that attended the USG Leadership Retreat, and Michelle and John and Arthur for setting up the slideshow. And yeah, I yield my time for questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions? If not, then the report of the president will be filed. Next, we have the report of the vice president.
Hello?
Yep.
So, quote for today: the goal of adulthood is to let go of the other possible existences and to make the best of the one. Successful adult is the one who understands that it doesn't matter which life you ultimately pick, only that you live it well. We're all college students trying to figure out, what identity we want to carry forth as we grow older. So it's time maturity. Usually, we struggle to pick which one we want to stick with, right? Which is why we're in college, practice error, right? So it's just important to understand that by the time you graduate, it's best to have a solid, more or less plan in mind, like how it is you want to live and what life you want. So going on to the report, I assisted the Chica staff, John Donners, and Speaker of the House, Michelle, with the leadership retreat. Thank you to those who showed up. For the Mental Health Coalition, I will be working to finalize the purpose of it and overall its incorporation within USG very soon. Still continuing with the mental health website development, we'll be making a presentation on it to stakeholders like the Chancellor and Vice Chancellor Rex Tolliver on April 8th, working to finalize the Mental Health Coalition survey, not just, of course, for this semester, but for future semesters so that USG has a survey that it can use to gather student feedback as it relates to mental health needs. Reading the resolution, still trying to reach out to Donald Wink from the Executive Committee in the Senate. He's been kind of ignoring some of my emails, but I have asked some student senators to help with that. We'll be meeting the provost April 6th, and overall, just spent the time enjoying the spring break. Hope everybody enjoyed their spring break as well. So, besides that, you can find time for questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions? If not, then the report of the Vice President will be filed. Next, we have the report of the Treasury.
All right, hello everyone. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
All right, fantastic. First off, welcome back everyone from spring break. I hope you all had a chance to relax, maybe catch up on some much needed sleep. I certainly did. It's good to see all of you. I'm really looking forward to finishing off this semester strong. So a little bit about what's going on. First, I did participate alongside many of you at the leadership retreat this past weekend. It's wonderful to connect with so many of you and showcase the wonderful work that this committee has done over the past year. We look forward to closing out this semester strong. Speaking of Michelle, I did share a image that I want to integrate with the officer report. Would you mind pulling that up?
Yes.
Is that possible? All right, thank you.
Oh, actually, it's Abby. Can you reply to the packet email with it?
Yes.
And I will be going over this flow chart with everyone who missed too.
Okay, we'll just email it out to everyone instead. I'll move on. So besides that,
Okay.
this upcoming Treasury Committee, sorry, technical issues, my bad.
Not you.
It's okay, it's all right. So besides that, the subcommittee week, looking towards the future, I will be officially integrating our newly assigned representatives into our Treasury Committee meeting starting this Wednesday. I'm really excited to have them and can't wait to see what they do. Speaking of the upcoming meeting, we'll focus on further collaborations and USG events. And over this past spring break, I also got the chance to finalize several collaborations with the much appreciated help with our Deputy Treasurer, Quinn Basta. He oversaw a lot of these collaborations, and he helped make it possible for us to continue without pledge to work with student orgs around campus so that USG not only stands for students, but also with this level of representation for student orgs and what their needs are around campus. So with that being said, I yield for any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions? If not, then the report of the Treasurer will be filed. Next, we have the report of the Speaker. Okay, hi everyone. Hope you all had a wonderful spring break. So we planned and hosted the Representative Leadership Summit with the e-board. Thanks so much for everyone who came out. It was a lot of fun. So I'll be holding a session going over the topics that we discussed during the retreat with those of you that could not make it, either in multiple small groups or all together, depending on availability of the reps who can make it. And I'll be sending out a when to meet to decide on the date or dates. If you didn't email me beforehand and you missed the leadership retreat, just shoot me an email or a text just so I can get that down. And we've also worked on the USG social over the break with Sam, and he sent out an RSVP/availability form, which is due tonight. We have lots of fun activities planned, so we want to make sure we get a good head count of how many orders of food to order. For MHC, we're meeting with Steve Palmieri from the Counseling Center this week to discuss kind of our collaboration going forward and any questions we may have. And I'm attending the student lunch that Dre mentioned for the finalists of the director of the Counseling Center. And I'm really excited. I encourage you all to go if you're interested in mental health. And oh, I didn't finish typing it, sorry, but I didn't attend the gala yet. I attended the gala committee meeting hosted by Danya, and that concludes my report. Are there any questions? Is that a question or are you just starting? Okay, sorry. If not, then the report of the speaker will be filed. Next, we have the report of the chief of staff.
Hi, everybody. Hope you had a good spring break. So these past few weeks, I planned and executed the new member retreat with Speaker of the House, Michelle, and Vice President Arthur. Thank you so much to Michelle for all of her hard work on working on that, to Arthur as well. Round of applause, everybody. Both did a really good job, and Michelle did a really good job of showing the new representatives how to put together a bill effectively, and I hope to see more legislation from them coming out of that. I also worked with the executive team, finishing and sending out all the invitations for the safety task force, and we've heard back from the chancellor and vice chancellor, and we also reached out to local business stakeholders. And I also been working with the executive team of the e-board on our final month and kind of solidifying what we will work on in that last month. And then I've also met with Vice President Arthur about initiatives to work with Steve Palmetti with. And you have my time for questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions? If not, then oh, do you have something?
Oh, no.
Okay, then the report of the chief of staff will be filed. Next, we have the report of the secretary. Yay.
Hi, everyone. This will be the first ad hoc committee report for the gala. So, I put a cap, even though I put a cap on who's inside the committee because it's just a lot to coordinate. You can still come to the meetings. They're Mondays, 5:15 to 6 p.m. They're literally right before our meetings here, and we just sit here and we talk about it. But you can join through Zoom as well. So if you want the link, just ask me. So the location of the gala that we have, I guess not officially decided, but as of now, we're planning for it to be in the Palmer House on Michigan Avenue. It's like a 12-minute car ride from here, so it's not too far from campus, which is ideal. Our events planner for the Palmer House, her name is Doris. So that's why I've been emailing back and forth over break. And now I'm working on delegating tasks to the members. So we're kind of working on that, getting out invites, order forms, working on themes and decor, fun stuff like that. And over break, I coordinated with the Treasury Committee on boards we have funded this semester so that they could be a part of our invite list. I guess in addition to that, I spoke to Daniela during our meeting today so that we can also invite those who have repeatedly attended the Connecting Student Leaders event. In terms of AV, I guess an update from Diego is that there's a pause on UIC radio DJ mobile service. So we're just kind of putting a hold on that, seeing what other options we might be able to have. So I'll be working on that also this week. And then we're going to make the final decision tonight on the date of the gala. So if you didn't put in your availability for the gala, for those also on Zoom, please send it before the end of this meeting, or I guess before I check it, because after tonight, I will not be extending the date. So if you are not available to attend the gala, I am very sorry, but we do need to get in that reservation ASAP. So please, 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 please fill out that form. In addition to that form, I'm going to be sending out a dinner order form and a carpool form. It's not sent out yet, but once I do that, please fill that out. I will have a hard deadline on it. In terms of the dinner order form, especially because that's where the bulk of the cost is going towards as of right now. If you do not fill it out, you will not be fed. I'm so sorry, but please just fill it out. I want you to not be hungry. So please fill that out once I send it out. And then please keep your eye out on your emails and group me, because I'm going to be frequently keeping you all updated on that, so that by April 11th meeting, we will get the first reading of the resolution of all the costs put it together so that we can vote for this April 18th and have everything set to go. I yield my time for questions.
Yeah. Are there any questions or comments? If not, then the report of the secretary will be filed next to the report of the diversity and inclusion chair.
Okay, hello everyone. So to begin, before spring break, we had our USG photo shoot. As a reminder, this picture should be coming in 2 weeks. However, we did have a spring break, so I'm giving the photographers a week extra because every single picture has to be edited, especially all of the headshots. So all of you, not that it has to be edited, but the photographers have to edit it because that's just how they do the work. So they should be coming in by next week. I'll be sure to share those with all of you as soon as I get them. And then apart from that, during spring break, I absolutely disconnected, which I hope all of you did too. And I hope you all had an amazing spring break. So after the report, I will be updating. I will just be checking on my email and responding to any email that I missed. Apart from that, I was able to attend the gala committee planning committee gala. The committee of the gala hosted by Danya, and just shout out to Danya, who's doing an amazing job. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Are there any questions? If not, then the report of the diversity and inclusion chair will be filed. Next week, the report of the legislative affairs chair.
Hi, everyone. So Michael asked me to read his report in his absence. So in our meeting, Hannah and LAC are still working on the event, which is going to be held on April 6th from 4 to 6 p.m. It will have 9 speakers with 15-minute time slots to speak on their career paths to help UIC students learn about potential job opportunities. And Melody continued setting up her student issues forum. And that's it. Yeah. So just contact us if you want to participate in the coordination of any of these events. And I yield my time for questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions? If not, then the report of the legislative affairs chair will be filed. Next, we have the report of the public affairs chair.
Okay, so I updated over the break the website with all of the representatives. So if you see your name without your picture, it just means that you're waiting for a headshot to come in, or you just need to fill out the form or send me your picture. So I probably won't check the form anymore. So please just send me your picture. But I added everyone, even if you didn't fill out the form, I went through and made sure that all the reps are added to the website. So if you don't see your name on there, then I made a little mistake and just email me again. And so just a reminder, once you have a photo of yourself, please send it to me so that we don't just have a bunch of USG logos on the website. Also, a reminder that merch must be picked up by this Friday. Otherwise, we'll be giving it away to other members. So please make sure if you ordered your merch from last semester, if you were a last semester representative or e-board member, to please pick it up by then so that you have it. I worked on some Instagram things over the break as well as the website. My first committee meeting is tomorrow at 7 p.m. So if you're in my committee, this is a reminder. I sent out the link today. Just in advance, you guys have that as a reminder. And I have reached out to administration about them coming to hear our student resource survey presentation. I've heard back from 2, so I'll keep you guys updated on that. But I think it's great that we already have 2 admin that replied that they are available. So I'll keep you updated on that. And I am working on that infographic still and editing the slideshow to make sure that it's all in place for that presentation. And I attended the leadership event on Sunday, and thank you again to Michelle and the e-board involved and all of the representatives that came out. It was a great event, and I yield my time for questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions? If not, then the report of the public affairs chair will be filed. Next, we have the report of the student success chair.
Hello, everyone. So my report is attached in the email chain. My quote here is, if opportunity doesn't knock, build a door, straight up. Our committee meetings will continue to be on Fridays from 11 to 12 p.m. Again, everyone is welcome to our meetings. And before spring break, we met with the Dean of Libraries on the 15th. We talked about the OER Faculty Leadership Award, talked about the headshot booth, and we talked about the Electron Go project. Some updates on the OER Leadership Award. It seems like it's on track. It's going to be an established award rolling into the next academic year. We just need to finish some final touches with faculty affairs. With the headshot booth, so the dean has, she believes that the machine should not be in the library just because there is already a service that takes picture, a service that where students can take professional headshots. So most likely this booth would have to be elsewhere, ideally in Student Center East somewhere, or if not, probably in student services building. Hopefully not there because that is a far walk from SCE. And in regards to the Electron Go project, this will be tentative because the Dean of Libraries and her department have brought up a lot of concerns and issues with this service. We'll still continue to meet with the company to clear up these questions. As of right now, there's not many schools that have done this service, so it's going to be difficult to get this going if there's no other university doing this. And for higher education affordability, we're going to continue our meetings with the department heads. One target department that we'd like to meet with is the math department because they're already working on implementing OER in their department. And so if we're able to get that department to fully commit to OER, then we can get the rest of the departments to commit to OER. And so that's the hope, and that was the mission of this initiative, beginning of this semester or this academic year. For career development for the Iris booth, we're still getting that meeting with the company Iris, and we've met with getting a meeting with career services to discuss this. I've reached out to two student governments, the University of Miami and the University of Cincinnati, because they've implemented this Iris booth in their campus. So we just want to learn more about how that's working out with them. And before I move on to representative initiatives, it's not on my report, but I've also been accepted to the Chancellor Search Committee. And so hopefully I'll be able to implement our USG initiatives, our student interests of more affordable education and all the such into that committee, making sure that our next chancellor supports the student interests. And for representative initiatives, Yasmin is continuing working with CSI to reopen the student work spaces that where the student government offices are. Right now, that's kind of like unused and wasted space. Hopefully, we can get student organizations to use those spaces. At the very least, use it as a storage area. I've heard many organizations struggling with how they are storing their club stuff. Me is hosting the international student, not a roundtable, it's a town hall. So this is in hopes to to learn more about what international student concerns are. Adia is continuing improving tutoring services, and she's also thinking about hosting a mental health event. Alex is working on the speaking room collab with the Diversity Inclusion Committee. Mahnor is working on merit-based scholarships, and Sarah is working on the progress list for part-time students, to which we will have a resolution out very soon. So if you like to collaborate on any of those initiatives, please reach out to those representatives. With that, I yield my time for questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments? If not, then the report of the Student Success Chair will be filed. Next, we have the report of the Campus Life Chair.
Alrighty, so this is Megan. I'll be giving the Campus Life Committee report in lieu of Felix today. So first, he'd like to basically hope that everyone has an amazing break, had an amazing break. I'd like to give an update on what the CLC is doing. So Rahi is sending out emails at the bottom of the night rate situation, of which we heard a little bit today. Sam is getting contact information from the new FSL council presidents. Isaiah is confirming the date with potential panels for the Student Worker Forum. Veronica is thinking about doing a substance use campaign. And Brenda is following up Community Center about a survey that they did. It's just a reminder to the general body that the Campus Life Committee meets every Thursday from 5 to 6 p.m. in the USG office. He'd like to welcome anyone who'd like to join us. This past week, 2 weeks, he's been trying to help the pre-law fraternity Phi Alpha Delta with their restart. He also met with the West residential director, Jacques Bollinger, about the state of campus housing. Basically, there are still concerns about the laundry rooms. And basically the person in charge of fixing it left last semester. The advisory chair for the Residential Housing Association is also vacant. So these are issues that need to be addressed as soon as possible, and that's what he is trying to get a hold on. I'd also like to tell everyone that peer mentoring, that position is back next semester. So they're in charge of the learning living communities. They're the people who provide tutoring, and they work to improve the LLCs. In addition to the inclusion of peer mentors next year, there's also an increase in wages for next year. And next year, the residential assistants and peer mentors will be getting the same wage. So that's something to look forward to. And basically the semester's almost over. We finished strong. If anyone has questions, feel free to follow up with Felix over email, or group me. He's very much open to questions. That's it. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. If you have any questions, please email Felix, and the report of the Campus Life Chair will be filed. The next order of business is announcements. Are there any announcements? Tanya?
Just a heads up, because I know people are trying to plan events. If you do want to reserve a room, if you want to host an event, please reach out to me. Meetings and conferences are getting flooded with emails right now, and they are not happy with me. So please, just for the sake of organizing and, you know, making sure that like everyone gets everything on time, and you know, we're not rushing to reserve a room. Just like let me know in advance, and I will be be of service in any way that I can. But please just like go through your committee chair first, or come to me. But yeah, thank you.
John?
I just wanted to add that for those that didn't go to the retreat, we'll be catching up with Michelle. A lot of the, please view the presentation that you guys will be provided with, and Michelle's going to go over that. But like a lot of that information like kind of covers issues like that. And also in terms of like when you want your event posted, when you want a design made, and like there's content with timelines in that. So please try and adhere to that so that things can function as smoothly as possible. We want you guys to put on great events and everything, but also it's a bit difficult when wires get crossed. So just wanted to mention that.
Same goes with funding. Any other announcements?
I have an announcement.
Oh, go ahead.
UIC Radio is hosting Battle of the Bands, and
Okay.
what happened? What?
Sorry. We thought you were in the room, but you're on Zoom. Go ahead.
I wish. Do you all miss me that much? I'm kidding. So April 1st is the deadline, which is this Friday. And we are looking for applicants. If you can apply, you can check out our social media, which is just UIC Radio on either Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. A band constitutes whatever it is that you can imagine, as long as it's more than one person. And you have to acknowledge that you will not be better than the fall. Let that record reflect that. And that is all that I have.
All right, thank you. Any other announcements? Sam?
If I could add on to what Diego was saying.
Come on up. Yeah.
Okay. If I could add on to what Diego is saying, first off, thank you for announcing that. Second off, if you have a band and people who are not at UIC are in your band, that's okay. You just need one UIC student. And if you have any musical talent, you should test your metal and battle some other bands this year. It's going to be in the quad. It's going to be fun. And you should apply. So thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other announcements? No. Any on Zoom? Not on Zoom. Okay, so the next order of business is adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting? Is there a second? It has been moved and seconded to adjourn this meeting. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All that opposed, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? If not, then the meeting is adjourned at 7:58 p.m. Yay!